Okay, so we just got back from a trip from Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, and the question that we get the most is the Dominican Republic safe to travel to? I'm going to be answering that as well as sharing some tips and tricks if you are planning an upcoming trip to the Dominican Republic. Okay, so there are no required shots or immunizations that you have to get into the country or to get back into Canada, at least is where I live. So you don't have to get any shots. It's totally just your own choice, but they do recommend that you get hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and typhoid. So if you want to get those, you can to be safe, but you don't have to. It's totally just your own choice. We found that they were quite clean. Every time we went into the buffet that was at our resort, every single person had to put hand sanitizer on, and all of the workers were very clean. All of the plates and cutlery and everything we found was very clean. Obviously, they tell you not to drink the tap water, so we used the bottled water to brush our teeth in the room, and we were precautious at first about drinking the water at the buffet and restaurants and having drinks that had ice in it, but by the end, I was drinking the water and I was having drinks that had ice in it, and we were totally fine. The water that you're drinking at the resorts it's filtered water, and they have filtered ice, and it's all safe. We did not get sick at all, so we were totally fine. They also say that you shouldn't have fruit. Like if you get a drink, you shouldn't have a slice of a lime on your drink. So I was precautious about that at first too. And again, by the end, I ate the limes and I ate the pineapples that were coming on my drink, and I was completely fine. Neither of us got sick, and I carried hand sanitizer around with us. All of the restaurants and the buffet, whenever we went in there, they had hand sanitizer, so I felt really good and clean about that. And then I just carried hand sanitizer around for us, so if we were eating something by the pool or by the ocean, we would just hand sanitize our hands before we ate anything. So definitely bring just like a bunch of little like travel sized hand sanitizers. They're good to have in your purse, but at the buffet and the restaurants, they will have that. Definitely stick to the bottled water. We use the bottled water to brush our teeth in the room, and if we needed water in the room, we obviously drink bottled water, not water from the tap. I brought Pepto-Bismol and a bunch of different like medicine and stuff just in case, and we were completely fine. We didn't get sick at all. So as long as you're like a little bit careful, you should be fine. So something that I didn't know before I went is that they do actually accept Canadian money there. I knew that they accepted US money, so we had changed all of our cash into US money to use there, but they do actually accept Canadian money. The only thing is they don't accept toonies and loonies. So if you want to be tipping people with one or other small change, you should probably just get US, because they don't accept toonies and loonies. So the smallest cash Canadian you can give to them is a $5 bill. So if you're planning on tipping and doing like small change, definitely just change it into American so you have those ones. But nobody told me before we went there that they do actually accept Canadian money. So if you have some Canadian cash and you need to use it, you can. So like any other country that you travel to, you have to fill out custom forms when you get there. So we had to fill out a custom form together, like one sheet that you fill out if you live together. But then we also had to each fill out an individual immigration form. And then when we got to the airport, we had to stand in a big line, go through immigration. What I did is I had a piece of paper with all of our information written down, as well as a picture on my phone. So I had two things just in case. And you just need to prove that you are leaving the country. So you need to have a flight number and what airline you're traveling with to prove that you are leaving the country and how long you're staying for, so what date that is and everything. And then you need to know where you're staying, so the name of your resort or the address of where you're staying. That's really the only information you want to just make sure that you have. And then obviously you're going to have your passport, which you need to put your passport information and everything on there. The immigration sheets did have Spanish and English. It was pretty clear how to fill it out. We were filling them out on the plane, and we asked the flight attendant to help us, and they didn't really know how to help us. But we kind of figured it out, and when we got there, there was no issues with it. So when you get there and you hand the immigration forms in, they also do thumbprints and handprints, and they take a picture of your face. And then when you go back to the airport to leave, you have to fill out immigration forms again. and go through that same process again. We managed to somehow skip the line where we had to redo all the thumbprints and the handprints and got to just go in like a fast lane line where they just took a picture of our face and we handed the forms and walked through. So that was kind of nice, but there was like 2 lines, and the one line you had to redo all your thumbprints and handprints and stuff. Wouldn't be a big deal to have to go through that line. It was just a much longer line and was taking much longer, so we were pretty happy to go through the fast-paced line. So one thing that people told me before I went was that the beaches there can have a lot of seaweed, but I didn't really find that a problem at all. I swam in the ocean quite a few different days, and there's like little bits of seaweed in the water, but it's not like disgustingly filled with seaweed. And I think it also kind of depends on where you are at the beach, because the resort we were at, they did a really good job of like keeping it clean, and I didn't find that there was any seaweed on the sand, but we walked down the beach quite far one of the directions, and we found that in front of a different resort there actually was quite a bit of seaweed compared to ours. So I think that it kind of also depends on your resort that you're staying at. I found the beach there was actually the nicest beach that I've ever been to. The one thing though that was nicer in Puerto Vallarta in Hawaii was the sunset. Where we were in Punta Cana, the sun didn't set over the ocean because of the direction that we were facing. So we had a really nice sunrise, but not a really nice sunset. So the sunset was definitely nicer where I was in Puerto Vallarta and Hawaii. So if you're looking for a really nice sunset, Punta Cana, not really the place. However, we did watch the sunrise and it was really nice. So if you're planning on staying at a all-inclusive resort while you're there, some things that we learned that we're gonna do next time if we go to an all-inclusive resort is we're going to bring our own mug, like a travel mug, because they will make your drink in your own travel mug. And that way it like stays cold and you can just like have more of it. We just found that like you'd get a drink, and if you didn't drink it super fast, it would get hot within a couple of minutes because it was so hot there. And all the seasoned resort people had to-go mugs, and you could buy them there, but they were quite overpriced. So next time we're just gonna buy one here from Amazon or something, and then bring it and then use that for our drinks, because it'll keep it colder and you can just get them to fill it up, and then you don't have to even worry for a long time about getting another drink. Also, if you can, try and buy sunscreen and aloe vera and all that kind of stuff at home before you go, because they do have that to purchase at the resorts as well, but again, it's super overpriced. If you need sunscreen or aloe vera, obviously you're just gonna go buy it, but if you bring it from home, it's a lot cheaper. Also, before you even go, once you have booked your resort, make sure you research the restaurants and figure out if you need to make reservations or if you can just show up at the restaurants. Our resort, you had to make reservations, and you couldn't make them until you checked in. And when you checked in, you kind of had to know which restaurants you were interested in going to. So we were allowed to go to one every single night that we were there, but it was really hard to get a reservation because a lot of them were booked already. So we were able to get reservations for 5 of the 7 nights, which was not bad. But we researched ahead of time and had a list of like which restaurants we really wanted to go to. So we were able to get into a couple of those, and then we ended up doing one that we really didn't want to go to. It ended up being good and we had a good time there, but just research the restaurants ahead of time so you have an idea, and know ahead of time if you need to make reservations or if you can just go to the restaurants, because that makes a big difference. Because some people didn't know you needed to make reservations when you got there and ended up not being able to go to any of the restaurants and just eating buffet food every night. And it's just, the buffet food is fine if you need to eat it a couple times for dinner, but it's just better to go to the restaurants. Also, when you book your resort, make sure they have safes in the room. Our safe was just in the room for free, but apparently some of the resorts you have to pay a fee to have a safe, or just don't even have a safe. So just make sure that your room has a safe. Keep your passports and your money and any expensive things in there. I would recommend not bringing anything too expensive if you don't have to. If you don't need a laptop, don't bring your laptop. If you don't need expensive jewelry, don't bring expensive jewelry. Also, you can check ahead of time if your resort has Wi-Fi. Ours had free Wi-Fi, and then you could pay a fee to have better Wi-Fi. We just did the free Wi-Fi, which worked fine for us. We just basically used the Wi-Fi to send like our parents messages and wish people a Merry Christmas because we were there on Christmas. We didn't need to like do work emails or upload anything while we were there, so the free Wi-Fi worked fine for us, but you could buy a package which had better Wi-Fi, so I think if you were there, had to do work emails or something like that, you'd probably want to purchase the better Wi-Fi. At our resort at least. Okay, so obviously the biggest question people asked me was, is it safe to go to the Dominican Republic? When we told people we were going to the Dominican Republic, we got a lot of people that said, haven't you seen the news of all the people that have died there and stuff? But I did a lot of research. It didn't seem unsafe to me, so we went anyway, and it was perfectly fine. The only time I felt the tiniest bit unsafe was the day that we went parasailing, and it was only because we got on this first boat and the people on the boat didn't really speak English, and we didn't really understand what was going on because nobody explained it to us. And what was happening was we were taking this little boat, going to pick up some more people, and then going to a bigger boat, getting on that boat, and that was the boat we were gonna parasail on. But we didn't really know what was going on, and while we were on this little boat, the engine stopped working, and it just felt like not the most safe. Also, they were just kind of threw us on this boat, and there was just a pile of life jackets, and none of them really fit properly, and yeah, it just felt like the tiniest but unsafe, but we put our own selves in that situation, and it ended up being perfectly fine. We went parasailing and it was awesome, and I would do it again, but it was the only time that I was don't really know what's going on here. But other than that, we felt perfectly safe the whole time. As soon as we landed at the airport, everybody was super friendly, and there were tons of people at our resort that spoke English as well as Spanish, so we were able to talk to pretty much everybody that worked at the resort. The only people that really didn't speak a lot of English were the maids, but we were still able to smile and say hello, and they would smile and say hello back. We ate all the food and we did all the activities, and never once did we feel unsafe or did we get sick or did anybody else that were there got sick. Obviously, going to any country that you're unfamiliar with and where they don't necessarily speak the language you speak, it can be unsafe, but I do not think that it is any more unsafe there than it is in Mexico or any of those other Caribbean islands that you can go to. I think that as long as you do research about the resort that you're staying at, and do research if you're planning on going on excursions about the excursions that you're going on, and you should be perfectly fine. There's really no reason to think that it is unsafe. As long as you make smart choices, don't buy something sketchy off somebody on the beach. Overall, I would highly recommend Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic as a place to travel. We found that it was quite cheap to go there. The cost of the resort and our flights and stuff were pretty cheap. Apparently they have actually gone down a lot because of people saying that they don't want to travel there because there's been deaths and they think it's unsafe. So I guess that kind of worked in our advantage because it was cheaper. People that lived there and worked there were so nice and so kind, and we had certain people that we really liked and we would always go to them. When we went to the buffet, we had a favorite lady that served there, and she was the sweetest, happiest lady. Her name was Maria. I wish I had a video of her because she was the happiest lady I have ever met. You could be so tired and so grumpy in the morning, and she had the biggest smile and the most friendly lady ever, and we had to be happy. She instantly made you happy. I loved her. I would go back to that same resort just to see Maria. But thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about traveling there, or if you have traveled there and you have any tips and tricks or places or hidden gems that you went to or discovered. Let me know in the comments because I would love to know. We stayed at the Grand Bahia Principe Aquamarine. I have a room tour as well as 5 vlogs from when we were there. So if you are curious about that resort and what it looks like and what we thought about it, you can watch those. And now the only thing left for me to do is to start planning where I want to travel to next. Thanks for watching.